made, we already have a lot of questions pouring in. Let's start off with Pankaj. This one's, he's writing in from, they haven't mentioned the Hyderabad. They're writing in from Hyderabad and they're talking about the pharma and the chemical sector. Now, on a stock-specific front, they're talking about Naveen and Viniti. Now, Gaurang, do you have these stocks in your coverage? And if you do tell us what's your long-term view on this and on the chemical space as well. We've seen some headwinds in the space also.
Thank you, Smriti, for having me on the show, and morning to all of you all. So, on Viniti Organics, which is from the pharma, more so from these agro-stroke specialty chemicals, we remain positive on Viniti Organics from a long-term point of view. So if this investor has the stock, stay invested for a long-term period of time. But at the same time, in terms of Q3 earnings, with the certain specialty and agrochemical companies have disappointed a little bit, and hence that kind of underperformance. But long-term, we believe that growth story is still intact. In the pharma sector, well, there are quite a lot of companies from the large and mid pharma, but if I have to focus on top 4 names that on the fundamental that I'm positive, I think Sun Pharma, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's and Divi's Laboratories. These 4 qualify as a top priority in terms of investment ideas.
Right, fair point. Next up, we're talking about Isaf Bank, and this one's from Anuj from Delhi. He has already bought in the shares at 69 levels. The current price is below that. Now, Rajesh, he wants to know that if he should, this for the short to medium term, if he should continue holding on to it, or if there are key levels that you can tell us about, if this is a good point to exit, or of course that will be on a loss, but would you suggest holding on to it?
So we have very limited data setup in terms of technical. Stock has shown very sharp downtick in last 2 trading sessions especially, and now stock is almost now trading near to its all-time low trajectory. So looking at the technicals, stock is in weak zone until the stock not again recover above 74, 75 level. It may face furthermore supply pressure. So I think our advice would be avoid at this moment. There is a significant downtick which we have seen in last 2 trading sessions. So that needs to settle down at certain price. Then only one should look to buy at this moment. So I think furthermore downside we can see from the current level also.
Right. Okay. Next up, we're talking about the aviation sector. This one's from Nikhil from Pune. This one's for you, Gaurang. He wants to know if this is the right time to enter the aviation pack. And he's talking about some correction that has happened, and that the government is setting up a panel to curb the flight rates. I'm not sure if that's the case, but Gaurang, give us a little bit more clarity on this, and a good time to enter into aviation.
Well, I don't know about the timing, Smriti, but I am extremely positive about the aviation sector. And within the sector, if there is one company that we have been having coverage right from the time of the IPO and post that as a standalone coverage, is Interglobe Aviation, one of the largest LCC models, has got a very decent fleet in terms of aircrafts. They have ordered more aircrafts to do a fleet addition and to increase the connectivity under the Udan 1 and Udan 2, which the government has unfolded. Realization per seat, flight occupancy, etc. are up to the mark. The only problem or an overhang in the immediate short to medium term would be the number of aircrafts which are grounded on fallback of the technical issue with the Platt and Whitney engines and inability of Platt and Whitney to service those engines in the near date. But having said that, I think tourism as well as business travel is growing at a great pace. Government's initiatives in terms of making India a holiday destination and opening up much more avenues is something that is extremely positive about. And if you have to just take a green shoot from the hospitality sector, the number of new openings that some of the hotels have lined up, I think that translates into positivity for aviation sector as well. So we remain positive on Interglobe Aviation.
I mean, that's a very important point that you mentioned about the green shoots in the hotel sector and how that's going to have an impact on the aviation as well. But next up, we're talking about Walkdart, and this one's from Hari, and he's writing in from Chennai. I'm not sure if he's already bought the shares, but this one's from short to medium term. Now, Rajesh, this has been a multi-bagger stock in the last 1 year. It's under a bit of pressure right now, but is there more upside to the stock in the short to medium term?
So definitely, Smriti, very strong buying action we have seen in last couple of months. The stock is now consolidating since last 4-5 weeks. Looking at the overall structure, we believe that now if stocks continues to hold above 430, 420 levels, then possibly again we may see another round of rally in short term. And once a stock crosses above 470 mark, then possibly we can see target towards 540 to 560 on the higher side. So overall structure is bullish. Some consolidation action is happening. So I think one can buy and accumulate if he has not bought. So our advice would be one can buy and accumulate the stock with stop loss of 415. Upside target we can see in the short term towards 470, followed by 530 to 560.
All right. Next up, this one's for you, Rajesh. This one's from Rajesh, and he's talking about Som Distillery, and he's already bought in the shares at 320 levels. The stock is on a downtick today. It's down 9% in trade today. Now, Rajesh, tell us if what kind of prospects do you see for the stock in the short to medium term?
So there is supply pressure in the stock, and again, stock is facing the supply at around 270, 260 zone. So until the stock not crosses about 270, 260, again on a weekly closing basis, some more pressure we can see in the stock on the downside. On the lower side, the important support area which we can see on the near-term perspective, that is placed at around 240 to 35 zone. If at all stocks breaks those levels, then we may see furthermore follow-up selling pressure in the stock. So at this moment, I think one should wait for this 235 level. If stocks holds those levels, then some pullback action we can see. As already we have seen a significant correction in last couple of weeks in the stock. So 270 on the higher side is the key level to watch for, and 235 is the downside critical level on the near-term basis.
Right. Next up, we have a question from Jaya Krishnan from Korikor, and they're talking about Deepak Nitrite. Now, I know, Gaurang, you have spoken about the chemical sector, but this one in specific, they have already bought the shares at 2,536 rupees. From a medium-term perspective, would you suggest our viewers to continue holding on to a stock like Deepak Nitrite?
So, Smriti, don't have a specific coverage on Deepak Nitrite, but it's a strong company. Unfortunately, because of the third quarter numbers being disappointing, not for one, but one too many specialty and agrochemical companies, the sector is underperforming. And even otherwise, if you go to see with the kind of capex and new launches that most of the companies are lined up, there was a little bit of underperformance, and this might get extrapolated to for another maybe 2-3 quarters before we see any meaningful contribution in terms of earnings coming through for the specialty agrochemicals as well as for a company like Deepak Nitrite. Won't be able to answer straight away buy, sell and hold since we don't have a coverage. But if you are investing in specialty and agrochemicals, I think you need to have at least 1.5-2 year kind of time horizon and have patience because of the underperformance that we are witnessing right now.
All right, fair point. Let's take up the next one. This one's from. Okay, this is a stock. It's called Bliss GVS. I'm not sure what stock this is. I'll just. Okay, Rajesh, Bliss GVS. If you can pull up the charts on this one. The question is from. If you look at right, the question is okay. They've already bought the stock at 117. That's the average price for this one. Now, would you suggest an exit from this stock, as these stocks and the time period they're talking about is 6 months? So would you suggest exiting at this point, or should you wait for a little bit?
So Bliss GVS is in corrective phase. Now stock is penetrating to its 100-day moving average on the downside. So that clearly shows, since last couple of weeks, there is a sustained supply pressure is taking place, and stock is showing, little bit weakness on the near term as well as on the short term chart. Until the stock not manages to cross over 125 level, there would be, supply pressure is likely to be there in the stock prices. On the breakdown of 110, there could be more pressure. We can see towards 90 level also. So 110 is the critical level. He has already bought at 117, 17. So I think he should follow a stop loss of 110, which is almost closer to the current market price. If it breaks, then possible pressure we can see towards 95 to 90 rupees on the downside also.
So stop loss for this one is 110, as Rajesh said. But we're completely out of time on this edition of Ask Profit. Thank you so much, Gaurang and Rajesh, for joining us and answering so many questions for us. And viewers, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, 11:30 a.m. Do keep writing us to your questions to us, and we'll take them tomorrow. But lots more coming up. Stay tuned to NDTV Profit.